Hello there, and welcome to another edition of CAN TV Hotline Let's Talk Etiquette. I am so pleased to be here with you today, and I do apologize about last week. Things happened, and unfortunately, we weren't able to be here with you. But we do have a dynamic show for you today, and let me start by giving you our number so that you can call us and participate in the conversation. That number is 312-738-1060. And of course, my name is Nathan Wright, and I'm the Executive Director of the Etiquette Foundation of Illinois. And I'm so pleased to introduce my special co-host, Miss Georgia Selma, Etiquette Maven Extraordinary. Welcome, Georgia.
Thank you so much, Nathan.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And it's a pleasure to have you here
Thank you.
because we have a dynamic show for you today. And we're getting close to wrapping up the season, as you well know.
Yes.
We only have this show and next week. So we want to go back to a subject that's still very, very important to us and dear to our heart, because we're just so sad at the violence that we are witnessing throughout our city and throughout the country. We're losing our young people. And as you well know, for those who have watched Let's Talk Etiquette for the last several years, the subject of Stop the Violence, Teach Etiquette has been one of our mainstay subjects. And the reason for that is because etiquette is such an important subject matter. It's all-encompassing. And we want to continue to promote this great discipline. And yes, I say discipline because if you are educated in this discipline, you will not commit a crime. You will not hurt someone. And the reason for that is because within etiquette, as you well know, within etiquette there is compassion. You know, you care about your fellow human being. This is what etiquette is, and it should be in the curriculum. And so I just want to celebrate this great subject, and I want to ask my special co-host here to just react to this issue that we're dealing with the violence in our city and in our country.
It's sad because there's not a day that we can turn on the TV and the news and not hear about someone getting killed and violently killed, and the victims are getting younger and younger. And it's pretty hurtful. It's disturbing. We're searching, all of us are searching for answers and solutions. What can we do as a community, as a people, to curtail, to stop the violence in our communities, in our homes, in our schools, and just all over? Yes. What can we do? One of the things that we talked about earlier today, Mr. Wright and I, we talked about different contributors, different people who are donating millions of dollars to different programs. And that's awesome. If everyone contributes something, if you don't have $1 million, like the rapper Chance, and like the Bulls, and like some of the other outstanding John Legend, Oprah Winfrey, and all of the other phenomenal people that give from their heart to help the conditions. What is it can you do? What can you as an individual do to help stop some of the violence, to help strengthen our communities, and to help our children thrive and grow and receive the etiquette education and the civility education that we're promoting? What is it that you can do? We hope that you call in with your concerns and your answers. We're looking for answers.
Answers. And we like to recommend a few of those answers, and you just hit the nail on the head. You can teach that young person etiquette. It should be taught in every home. And if you teach a child how to have good manners and good morals, you're improving that child's life skills and life survival skills. And you can do that. You can mentor. And as you know, we have donated 1 or 2 shows to the whole subject of mentoring and parenting. And so we're encouraging those out there who are watching us now to consider becoming a mentor. Every child needs help. Doesn't matter what their situation is, reach out to that child and make a contribution and mentor. And that's one of the things that every person
Each and every one of us.
can do.
Absolutely. Each and every one of us can take a position in mentoring some child.
Yes.
And you would be surprised the impact that mentoring has on a child's life. And that is taking time with them.
Yes.
Taking a little time with them. Taking them to the movies. I have 3 grandsons, and my youngest grandson is 16.
16, yes.
And he has 3 mentors.
Yes.
2 from his church, and Mr. Wright mentors him.
Yes.
And he has, his father takes time with him.
Yes.
So if everyone takes a little time to invest in mentoring a child.
Yes. So important. So important. And even in that situation, even though your grandson has his father, has his mother, have the people in the church mentoring him, I'm mentoring him as well. So it doesn't mean because he has 1 or 2 people mentoring him that he can't have 3 or 4.
Absolutely.
as many wants to work with that individual, then it should be acceptable. And none of the other mentors have an issue with my mentoring him.
Well, mentoring,
And,
let's kind of talk about mentoring for a second.
Okay.
What is mentoring? Mentoring, what is your definition of mentoring? What is mentoring from your standpoint?
Well, for me, it's first you have to care. You have to really be concerned about the environment our children are living in today, our young men in particular. And you know all of the issues that they are confronted with. And if you can just say 1 or 2 little words to them that may help them see a different way in the world, that may be the very thing that leads them down this path as opposed to leading them down that path.
I would
And
like
so-
to make a point.
And so mentoring to me is about giving. We have mentors here that came today with us.
Absolutely.
2 young men that's working with us, and we're mentoring them. We're talking to them on the way here.
Absolutely.
And we talked to them before we came into the studio.
But more
And,
importantly,
and this is part of influencing them to do good things with their lives.
But more importantly, mentoring is not you and I doing all of the talking.
Right.
It's listening to what they have to say.
They were talking to us today.
Often parents and mentors want to give all the advice
Oh, you have to listen.
and give all of
All
the answers.
Right.
But it's critical.
Oh, you
It's
have to listen.
extremely critical
Yes.
that you hear from them.
You have to have a dialogue with the person, with the child. You have to let the
you-
child talk to you. You have to have a dialogue with them. And when you're having a dialogue, that tells you some of the issues. That opens the door for them to express some of their concerns and how they see things. How can you advise someone or counsel someone if you don't know how they feel about a certain issue? So you have to allow them, to have an opinion about whatever it is you're talking about. And this happened just a few minutes ago. We were talking to our 2 mentors we brought today, and they was expressing themselves and telling us what they thought and how they felt. And we asked them a few questions about cursing. Was one of them. Had they ever cursed before? and they were willing to share with us whether or not they had or not. So this is part of it, but I do agree with you. You know, you have to listen. Absolutely, yes.
It's critical that you open up the relationship with helping your mentee understand that you're there for them. You're there for them. And so often young people like to hear stories. They like to hear about your past, what you've experienced in life. And it helps them to kind of give
Yes.
back about their experiences.
Yes.
But I think the bottom line is, what can each of us who don't have $1 million to contribute to a
Right.
program,
Right.
or who don't have thousands of
Right.
dollars
Right.
to contribute to a program, what is the valuable thing that you can give,
You and I.
that you can contribute
Yes.
to another person, a young person?
Yes. Yes.
And I find that to be very vital, and I think it could be very, very, very effective.
Absolutely.
If each
Absolutely.
person, if each one of us make a commitment
Yes.
to reach out to a young person, to help them become a better human being, or to help them to develop into
Yes.
becoming a whole and a person with good morals and manners.
Absolutely. You have to have a core in terms of who you are, in terms of what you're trying to encourage them to emulate. And so you have to have good manners. You have to be a person of good character. It would help. I'm not saying that those who may do some cursing and just don't do it in front of the child, because that doesn't give him the right or her the right message about certain language that you may want to use among your adult friends that you wouldn't choose to use in front of this individual here. If you're trying to use mentoring as a way of improving the community by improving a child's life, then you will have to be a good representative of the community, I think. And if you are a good representative, then they will have someone to look up to and model in a more, I would say, good character manner, as opposed to someone that's modeling someone that has a bad character and doing all the wrong things. And they are out here influencing our young men
Absolutely.
to doing those kinds of things. So we have to push back by giving the child a choice, letting them see someone who is doing it the right way within the law, and being a good representative of the community. And so when you are mentoring on that level, and this is why we're encouraging you to add etiquette to your mentorship, because if you do, you're going to help this child be a much, much better person. And it's not so much about whether you believe everything you read in an etiquette book, but it's the fact that you are taking time to expressing some of those core values to this individual so that they will see a better way of doing things as opposed to a counterproductive way of doing things. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm a strong believer in etiquette education and the whole concept. I believe that the more we as adults demonstrate the right manners and morals, the more impactful it'll be with our young people. And as we have talked about in past shows, we talk about the importance of being polite, the importance of being respectful, the importance of caring for your fellow man, caring enough about yourself. And the more you care and respect yourself, the greater respect you're going to receive and you can offer to someone else.
Right.
So it's those simple things
Right.
in life. It's not, it's not rocket scientist
No.
information.
No.
It's the simple things that can make a tremendous difference in
Right.
the behavior of our young people.
Yes, and we know this for a fact because we've lived through it. we've actually lived and experienced what we're teaching. So it's not like something we're making up. It's what the society represents. And so long as the society is representing these basic core standards of behavior, and it's written down, it's in a book. It's not like we're making it up out of the blue. These standards have come about over hundreds and hundreds of years of tried and tested interrelationships among people. And it is great to say hello and to say thank you and to say goodbye. Those are wonderful character traits that we want to instill in the next generation, because what is it? It's society. As a society, we have to continue to react, relate, and build relationships in this society. Society today is no different from society 100 years ago. And as long as we have society, it's going to be pretty much the same, hopefully, 100 years from now. We have to learn to live together, and that's what society is. We have to learn to be in harmony with one another, be at peace with one another, not violence, not what we see today in terms of how individuals in society are behaving. And this is why we are trying to encourage people to do better, because they can. They
We
can
have
do
a
better.
caller.
Caller, hello there. Hello.
Yes, and good evening, guys. How you doing?
Hello,
This is
Steve. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Great.
You
Good to
know,
hear
I've
from you.
been listening to the show from the beginning until now,
Okay.
and it's amazing why the phones are not ringing. If it was a rapper and a lady who gets up and stand on her head and shake her butt, this phone would have been ringing till the time you probably get home.
Right.
But that's the way life is about. Two things I want to mention. You just mentioned something about life changes. Life does change. It's not as it was 50 years ago. And it
Right.
probably won't be the same 50 years ahead of time. That's just the way of life, I think.
Yes.
We're not here to, you can't save everybody. Everybody is different. Some people change right away. Some people change in midway. Some people change right before death. So, you have different stages of people want to change. You can't make somebody do something that nobody don't want. It don't make you not thinking about it, but it's just hard. But you just keep on making them think about things, because sometimes in society now, things gonna come back to you, and you're gonna start thinking, dog. I remember when Georgia and Mr. Wright was talking to me, and I didn't want to listen, and it sure enough come true.
All right.
And listen, Georgia, you said something very impertinent, and I hope people was really listening, your ears, listening. A lot of times people want to dictate, but they don't want to listen. Sometimes you could just keep dictating and you talking to the wall. The wall ain't going to hear you. Only thing you going to do is hear yourself.
Exactly.
And you don't give a chance to person to express how they feel.
Yes.
Right.
You know what? Let me tell you something. Life is so beautiful. It's a great day to be on God's green earth.
Yes.
And I mean it. Some people just don't realize it, but it's a great day. I'm going to say one thing, too, because I'll hog up this show. Mr. Wright, I always talk about your knot. Well, you don't have one on there today.
Right.
So, Georgia, let me tell you something. That is a lovely dress that you got on.
Oh, thank you.
And I noticed something on the left finger. And that's why nothing's on the left finger, because men ain't men no more. Men don't know how to treat people. Men want to do, just like I was telling you, want to dictate, but don't listen. The key to a woman is what it took to get her. That's what it takes to keep her.
Absolutely.
Yes.
They
You're
just
right.
want us to listen sometimes.
Right.
So we need to get that skill of listening. Once that you listen to that man, like I
Right.
said, life is so beautiful. I will hold this show, but listen, y'all guys, thank you for taking the call.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thanks
Steve.
And I
for
want to get
calling.
out
Thanks,
there
Steve.
so I can hear your response. And let me hear
Yes.
what y'all think about what I
Yes.
was saying.
Thanks, Steve.
And again, thanks for calling. I will see y'all next week.
Okay,
Thank
we'll be
you.
here.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Steve.
it's always important to have Steve call. He offers so much to the conversation.
Yes.
And if you know, we did some shows on the dumbing down.
Yes.
And the dumbing down started in the 30s.
Yes.
In earnest. In earnest,
Yes.
they decided we're going to dumb down this society. And so as a consequence from that, Steve, they removed all those core curriculums that made us better people. You know, they don't teach philosophy anymore. The humanities has been taken out of the schools because they don't want us to understand none of that. And so what we see now in the last couple of generations are individuals who haven't gotten that kind of education.
True.
And so as a consequence, you know, we listen to the ignorance we hear on the TV. We listen to the ignorance down the street. And now we become an ignorant society, dumbed down ignorance. And so as a consequence, we some of us never wake up. You know, we go through our whole life being dumb and stupid. You're right?
Well, we
And
don't
then
have to
some-
be.
Right, we don't have
really-
to.
yeah.
Then some do wake up, like you said, Steve. They may be midway through life and say, darn, I've been just being stupid for the last 20 years. Let me snap out of it. And some do snap out of it, and you're absolutely right. And some wait till they're near dead and say, oh, I better get right with God, you know, at the last minute. But they did get right. So I agree with you mostly with that, Steve, but we've been the victims of dumbing down, and we still see it every day. And would you like to? We have only a few more minutes left. I don't want to hog the conversation up like Steve.
Well, well, I want to just reflect a second on Steve's comment. We were talking about communications, and listening is an art in itself. And the great communicators are those who have great listening skills. You'd be surprised what you can learn just by listening.
Yes.
And too often, we don't do enough of that. So mentors, parents, listen to your youth.
Yes.
Take time to listen to them. You will be surprised. I mean, totally surprised on the feedback that you get from just listening.
Yes. And of course, you know where they're going wrong and the kinds of misjudgments that they're making by listening, because they will eventually tell you exactly what influences have occurred to them to make them think and feel and believe the way they are saying and they are speaking. And so listening is very, very important. You can't solve the problem for them or help them solve the problem or a problem unless you do listen to them. You have to just let them talk, right?
Absolutely.
And they will tell you if some hip-hop rap song that they heard has influenced them to sag their pants, and not tie their shoes. They will eventually tell you those influences that have them sagging their pants. Just listen to them and ask a few questions like, where did you get that idea from? Sagging your pants, where did that come from? And I'm sure that somehow they'll get around to explaining to you the logic behind sagging their pants. So you have to definitely do listen.
Yes, you do.
Yes,
You do.
yes. I agree 100% with that. And so,
And
Yeah, go
another
ahead.
thing before we close out, I don't think that, we as mentors, we should get too caught up on the trend so much. I think we should be more in tune and more concerned about what's on the inside. Because a lot of times what's going on the inside is reflective on what you see on the outside. So
Yeah.
be concerned about working with your mentee from the inside.
yes,
Once you can get that together,
yes,
you'll see a tremendous difference expressing the outer.
yes, yes. And it's not that difficult to get them to understand that sagging their pants, which for whatever reason, they think it's a philosophy or a value system that they're emulating someone else's behavior in this manner. But you have to reason with them where they will understand that it's just something you don't have to do. I mean, you may like an artist, you may admire this artist, you may see what he does that attracts you to them, but you don't have to do everything that they are doing. And if they're calling women names and doing that kind of negative, degenerate kinds of things, then you have to somewhat push back, a little bit. Caller, we have a caller. Hello?
Hey, Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Yes, listen, just real quick. Another thing that we got to remember is not so much what you have done in the past, it's what you're going to do now in the future. That's the most important thing. We got to learn to forgive and let go, and let's start something new and keep this train moving. Let me get out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So true.
So true. And the thing with that, Steve, is that you want to lay a foundation so that they don't make the kinds of mistakes that many people have made simply because they didn't know the history. And that's another factor that is missing with our young people. They don't know their history. And if you don't know their history, what do they say? You're subject to repeat it. So you need to know that history. And this is what the elders should be in the business of doing, is helping them understand and learn that history, because without it, you're just going to be a lost person.
Well, Mr. Wright, this has been such an interesting subject and topic. I think we should revisit it next week.
Absolutely.
I think there's lots that we did not get a chance to discuss and to talk about. So I think we need to think about.
That's a great idea. We'll revisit it next week. But in the interim, I'm going to have to say we're going to have to depart the scene. We're going to have to close the shop down. I enjoyed our conversation. Thank you again, Steve, for calling us and having a great conversation with us. So stay tuned for next week. We shall return. And with that, you have the last word.
Have a good week. Until next week.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.